All right. Hi, everyone. Again, welcome. Good morning, afternoon, evening. My name is Victoria Herman. I am the Managing Director of the Arctic Institute, and I have the honor of hosting the Breaking the Ice Ceiling webinar series, of which this event is a part of. Throughout 2021, we are hosting more than 30 amazing women from the Arctic who live in the Arctic, and also in the Antarctic. I hope you will join us for our next event of this series that I will share at the end of today's session. If you have to leave at any time today, we are recording this session and we will share it in a follow-up email with you. Today's session will include a brief introduction from our two amazing speakers, and then we will be watching a video together that is just under 30 minutes. I will be sharing that video link in the chat. It is on YouTube, and we will ask that you minimize your Zoom, or you can log out to Zoom and watch the video on YouTube. For those who might be having some issues, I can also stream the video on here so that it can also be captured on our recording for those who have to leave early. And then we will move into a what I hope will be a very lively question and answer with the director and producer of the film, which I am so excited for. As you go through and watch the video, if questions come up through the video, feel free to put those in the chat box so that I can moderate them. I'll direct message you to see if you would rather come on and ask your question, or if it's easier for me to read it out loud to you if you have a challenging internet connection or just don't feel comfortable coming on. I'm happy to read any and all questions. All right, you have heard more than enough from me, so I'm going to hand it over for a brief introduction to our two incredible speakers, the director of this inspiring film we are about to watch, Romani Makkik, and the producer of the film, Shari. I'll hand my virtual mic over to you for an introduction, and I will be sharing the YouTube link in the chat. Not sure which one wants to take my virtual mic first.
For sure, the director, Romani, you should go ahead.
All right, thanks, Shari. Hey, everyone. Pretty excited to be here today. Thanks all for joining. I guess just a brief intro. Like in the video, I'm from Igloolik. I grew up in Igloolik with my mom, my grandparents, and my extended family. I think my research is very much motivated by, my upbringing in Igloolik with the family, with the extended family in the community. And I think it's just trying to provide some light into what I believe are the strengths and abilities of our people. We've heard a lot about systemic and institutional requirements or needs, gaps analysis, and what systems, what government, what Inuit organizations need to do to help Inuit. But I think this for me was very much about what are we as Inuit doing for ourselves within our communities. And I think, the video speaks for itself in terms of like my just navigating the world of Inuit-led, our life's journey, and then how it impacted me. So I'll leave it there, and I just want to give a shout out to the people at Inuit-led who participated in this. It wouldn't have happened without their support and their willingness to share their story. This is just a small picture just a small piece of the whole iceberg. You know, there's so much at the top and more at the bottom, but this is just a small portion of what HealersWounded does. And I hope you guys learn a bit about what one community is doing to help themselves and their people. And to you, Shari. Thank you to Shari as well for her support throughout this whole project. She's been a wonderful mentor, just kind of letting me figure this out. She's been there for me. I just want to say thank you. Timothy, go ahead.
Thanks, Ro. Yeah, my name's Shari Fox, and I'm a research scientist. I have a couple academic affiliations, but I'm also the manager of the Ittaq Heritage and Research Center, which is in Clyde River, and it's part of Inuit-led Society, which you'll learn about in the video. And I was trying to remember actually where and when I met Romani, but it was before even this work. I'm pretty sure when she was working back at NTI. But I've learned a lot working with Romani through this video, but also through her research. Romani completed just a stellar master's thesis as part of this work. The video is just one product from her research work, which she'll talk a little bit about in the video. And I was really privileged to be part of that with her. I've been working and living in the community of Clyde River since 1999, and that's the community that you'll see in the video. And in 2005, we started a small research and heritage center called Ittaq, and we were part of producing this video with Romani. So we provided the video support and the editing and the drone work and things that you'll see in the video. But really that was just supporting Romani telling her story and telling her research. And I think you'll enjoy the video, and I really look forward to the discussion after, where we can talk about the video, the work of HealersWounded and Ittaq, and also how all of this does link into research and how research is changing in the Arctic with communities, with Inuit, and the responsibility that we all have to do that work. So I hope you enjoy the show.
Yay. I forgot to just add on to Shari's stuff there in terms of the thesis and the video. What I really wanted was to ensure my research returned where it occurred. I didn't want to just finish with a thesis, write my thesis, get a degree and be done. Having done work with researchers in the past, I really wanted to do a research project that would promote the work that's happening up there, but also something that'll be useful for HealersWounded to continue telling their story. So it's not new knowledge. It's not my new knowledge. It's just, I was just doing the research. I was just asking the question. It's just the story of the people. It's their knowledge. It's what they wanted. And it was really interesting in that, asking for permission to do research and then just being given this time and space to better understand them through my own eyes and through my own experience. So that was, I think, the big thing for me was, yeah, sure, I'll get my master's and I'll write a thesis, but I want my work to be useful for somebody else. So just wanted to share that last bit.
Thank you so much. And thank you for that amazing introduction. So this next part of our webinar, we are going to watch this film so that we can have a really great discussion after. And here you have two options, kind of a choose your own adventure of how to watch the film. So I think the easiest way is to go to the chat and you will see a YouTube link to the film. You can click on that link and you can minimize the Zoom or log out and watch the film on YouTube. We'll have about 30 minutes to watch it. It is a little bit shorter than that, but make sure everyone has time to watch it. And I say this is easier because sometimes the internet connection makes the YouTube video lag as I am sharing it on my screen. I will also share it on my screen for the recording. There were several people who were unable to make it because of time zones, and so I'll be recording it in this whole Zoom for them. So if you think it's easier for you to stay on this Zoom and watch the YouTube as I'm sharing it, you're free to do that. But again, if you want to either log out of Zoom now and log back in, or minimize it and open up that YouTube link in the chat, you might have an easier time with broadband. And I'm going to, again, share it one more time because I see that there are a few people who have just joined our Zoom and might need the link. So again, we'll take about 30 minutes to watch this film. I am about to share my screen and audio for those who are staying on. And I will still be here monitoring the chat if anyone has questions throughout the film. We'll come back together in about 30 minutes after the film, where Romani and Shari will be here to talk about what you just saw and answer questions that you have about the film, the experience of making it, and maybe what we can take away from this experience of watching it together. Okay, so if you are opening that YouTube link, you can do that now. Or again, you can log off, you can minimize this. I will be letting you back in. So if you want to do that, please feel free to do that now. And I will be sharing my screen for those who would like to stay on here and just watch it from a shared screen. All right, just sharing it. Just making sure I can also share sound. Apologies, everyone. I got a new computer this morning, so everyone can access it. Okay, I'm starting our film now for everyone.
Niqanayarpi katimayigit uqaseqasuungavut saimaqatigileaqarninginni pilereqataqarasuqattarnikuuvunga kavamakkunni ammalu inuikatutteqatigiinni malugait atuagaillu asiteraaqarnerartausuungavut inuktigulikia inuuqatigigtigullikia Saimaqatigiinnarmut tikinniaruttagu utterittaaqartavutu kisittaarlutigulu inui qanu aannertausimanikuummangaata ammalu aannertikkannertailimanasulutigu pilereariattigu mameavvigiyaaqarusiit inuuqatigiittiarusiit ilagiittiarusiit qanurlikiangaitaakkua inuktigu atorpagu Inui ammalu qallunaa saimaqatigiileriaqartu. Inuktigulikia qanuq saimaqatigiilerunnarpita.
Romani Makkik nguyunga. Igloolik mi piqurorsimatlunga maanna. Inuoqatigiinnammo piyauteaqaruarmangata qawisarnilerinermi ilinnaartunga. Lakehead University silattusarpitsua Thunderbin. Tauvungariulorsimagama taununga panerseriarlunga. Imialungmuttau uvanga saaraussimatlunga. Neruarilorsimagakku nuna qauyimanginnakku nunanguarmiluunniinami mangaanalugakku inuoqatigi nayartanni imeqatigi nayartanni qauyimayaqanginnama tahuvunga taingnaneruarilorsimagakku imialungmu saaraussimaqqatigissimayanni inuoqatiqarunnarlunga aniguissimangmata uvangattau aniguinasukkama tarriaallalorlugu ingna tarriaaksaliangussimayu Tony kallu unikkaanga Tony back from the brink Tony unikkaanga pirajaksimaqattarnikkuullunittau aniguissimayu sivumuarsimayu utterillugu pikkugilortara amma tukisilaortara uvangattau aanniarutinni ayulerutiqalorsimagama.
Welcome to Inuksavut. I'm giving you a tour around. As you can see, they're playing games right now. This is a meeting room. They do this every Friday.
Tony kallu miksaanu tarriyaqama angeqqarsimalerluni ilissarsivingmi uqaqatiqqarviuyunnarluni ikayawasuktuq upigiartuaraalugillugu tussugillugulu aksualu ilissarsivik tusaumakutaaklugi kisumutoraallaringmangaata qawilaorsimangillugi tarriaallalorlugu Kangiqtugaapik muliilinniareelaarumallattaalerlunga piyuksilaorama ilinniarearama silattusarpitsuarmu Lakehead University muila ilsarsivikkunnu tukimuatittiinganu amma Ittaqku qavisartuleriinganu titerakautigilorsimayunga uqarlunga ilinniareelaarumanerarlunga Kangiqtugaapikmu uqauttoruamaila katimayini ilau lungagu kisaani tukissivaallerniarama ilautitaulilorama taguani inuusitta ingeqqaningani teikaniillunga titeraarasukatatuinnalooralaartunga sivullermi uvanga ilippalliayanginni kisumituaraarmangaata kisiani teikani naalagasutuinnarlunga illuarunneertualulorama oqauseriyauyami qimatuinnarlugi ilinniaqatigiyakka inutuunguyalerlunga utterilikaallaloorama sunoveikkoa uvanga aanniarutangani oqqauseqarmata naalagumangitaalukka
suqquisoqqaangautilorsimagama quaqsaarlunga asikkaqanuerujuktut saimmaqatigiittaangittut qawiiyariuqquilluga tukisiumalorsimangittunga kisiani pititteqqugiilorsimayunga taimilortillugu uttersuinnauiaqqugiililorsimayunga asinni niнгауmalernerlunga ukuarnermiilernerlungalu suqamai kajornaqqugiilaunginnama Tony kallu unikkaanga takugakku tukisilaortaqa anaanannittaorpittu teqakutaaksimagama perorsarnerilortama ilanganu miksaanu tukisilaortaqa niнгауmaninga ayulerutinu saalausimaqattaaq simaninga tukisilaortaqa ammalu inuuqatimini ikajorumaninga tukisilaortaqa
tamaunga hutertararsimallunga inuusitta ingerraningani ilauqattarlunga mailisarsivinmi kataqattaaqsimallunga utterilertara ilisarsivi uppakartarviu tuinnaqattangittu ikajortoyumayunu kinatuinnarma upaktausu
Inuksavut was established in 96-97, so it's about 22 years old now. It's a group of elders coming together in Clyde River and sharing some traditional counseling.
When I was invited to come to Clyde River, I saw a real solid base with the elders. I saw a real motivation from the community to really help themselves.
One of the big reasons for the need for the community to come together was the lack of mental health care in the community. The only options available were to go to the health center and see a southern nurse who is very transient and will only speak English.
The simple question, what do we need to do to heal ourselves and to help others heal? So the Our Life's Journey program is Inuit counselor training and mentorship program. We heal by talking, which is, oral tradition, it is storytelling, and it works.
Teikani tuinnaarunna raungittunga ilinniartuurunga silattusarviktuarmingaarlunga uvangattau ilungani aanniarutikka sivumaarutigi yunneillissimayakka saqqittariaqartakka teikani tamangmi isigakka iseriaqaroortugi kisulimaara kinalimaara kinaututilimaara iserlugu saqqitillugu teqatauyaaqalilortunga ilinniartannu ilinniartara pileriarinassuktaqa sivumaarunneillilormimma kisiani uvanni isertillunga uvanni pilerilerlunga.
It's important to understand the dynamics of the history in the north.
Qallunaatikke qattalertillugi inuisangusartauvallialertillugi ilinnaariarti taussimayu puvaklugiarsimayu nunalinnu nuuppallialertillugi taakkua amisu aktorneqalaumata sivullivinittinnu taakkua aanniarutaulerlute amisunu inunna ilakkattau teemanneilormimmata.
It's been some really awful things that have happened up here. A lot of them stem from a colonial government and its policies that it's implemented in the Arctic.
Aktortaussimarjuaratta inuisangusartauvallialertillugu lugi aannerutitsinni sivullivinita aannerutivininginni aannerutauju angiluaraallarluti aniguissimattiara ngittuganaullutta kinguvaannu aktortaussimaler tuviniuju utterileraluarlutigu nakattunnaqquyingimmata taakkua aanniaruti.
Surusiuruni qauyimanangimma kisupiuva amma piungila taimattau perusarausimammigama kisiani qanuiliunnerluttaunerisimayakka aanniagutigisimagakki
tamanna qauyivalliallugu uvanni ilisarsivalliallunga ilisarsivinmi apeqqutigissimalertara apeqqutigilertara qawisarasuktullunga ilisarsivikku kisimutoraagaqarmangaata kisumi pittuteqarluti ilisarsivikku eqqanajartangi teikanippat
sivullerpaami ernikulugilarsimayaqa inuusinganiassuruut qayumma piluartumi niussikaaqattartunilu amma qimisimayumi nanisilaurtuni ayuragutinnu saarauruarsimamma tainnaikayurumagaruartugu ayurnarausimamma asingi suuqaimma ima ileqqusiummimma ikayurasuqattartugu qitungara inuuqatikka ikayurunnarmangaakki ungataanu isumaqarilaursimayunga
anginerpaangoqqoortu tukisissimayara una
Inui uqaqatiqarunna uqaqatiqarvik saqalaungimata inuqatimini tukisiumayautaarluti.
Ima akausisariartor between naungimma. Uqallaqatiqartingu pallianirmi pivalliammata aswilla. Tamainittiaanittigunnaраtta akausarnittigu inuttitu qallarnimmi. Qallunauyaqattanginnittigu. Ilaalluunni ima aanneaneriavu qautagigassuarlugu inuttitu qallattugu uvannu akauvinnassarigakku suulluri tamainni persinersaaqquiyisiungugama. Uqallaqatiqartiunammu ilinniaqattartuna kituinnanunarinni pivalliammata.
Mammisammermittau piukserorsimangikkaluarama ilisarsimillu piukilaorsimangimigakku taina taikaneqqanajalorsimajo ilagilaorsimagakku nangminerillugu taina upagi qaqattalaorsimammigakku uqautaqattalaorsimammanga kingupertissakulugiik anersapatsioruluk ilisarsimimmeqqanajarniangilangaalaqattajiyunga guutiwasiani guutaqaqasunniusoqilorsimagakku kisiani uternangittukkun pinasullungaungitto eqqanaajalernikugama taikani eqqanaajaartaaqasullungaungitto kisiani ilisarivalliallugu eqqanaajarpigijara uvannillu takuvalliatlu tigillugu inulerineq tamanna angiqotigililaorsimapa akausissautissani inuusermu pilereqattarmayunga piunnarsiyumappata nariannu pivammiyu ilinniartittiiyunnarsiyumappata ubbarunni qaarsaarnileriyunnu peqatoyunnarsiyumappata makua qaarsaarnartukkuorniin ilinniaqattarsimajavu pittutigillugi ilikkannerutigiqattarmigattigu soorlu qaarsaarluni aannernaarmaan aannernarunnерпаллиалеруннарту тамана иlinniaqattarlugu qaarsaarnikkuunner amma nunali teikko upaqattartavut tukseralerangata qaarsaarnikku ilangaaluartullu tajoqiarti tausuungummigatta tamanna takututaqakkannerniоqattarmijo nunaqqatigingitamu upaktaalluni pivaalertau kannernaam pivaaltikkannernaam uakallanga uvangatuinnautillunga upaktaujunnakkannimmarimmijunga avangaalu imaang makua naglinnermu takukkannerniin saimmakkannerniоqattarmata suila nagdigijautlattaartugu naddutaujunnakkannaqattarluti
kisianittau toqummuttaroortunga toqutaukasaroortunga saputligasoortungaita tanna qaajutigeqquiiloorsimayaga asitjeriaqalertuinuusera taikaniinginnaasukkaluaruma at my age akuniutjaarunertunga 2 more years to go qartungaila anilaalertunga isertoqarpatlialoorsimammat innarmi innatoqarmi keikumuttau tigilooma jongunaartoojumut imminitanna uanni takujjutigiloorsimayaga tanna takujjutigiloorsimayaga taimaanniarpunga taimaanginnarniarpunga 10 years from now 20 years utaqtarniarpunga suli 10 years 20 years makua isumannu kaaddagior taimaisumayageortunga lakusimalertugu isumassarmi pisimalertunga
Tawnikalluup unikaangatakuraullugu isumaqattalilortunga qanuqlikiangai inuktigu aniguivalliavita aanniarutittinni mamisarpalliallutar qanuqlikiaq inuktigu ikayoqatigikpita aanniarutittinni aniguinassuktilluta tamanna kappianaraukalortuugaruakisiani ilisaqsivik tungavittiavaalu akseroruyukluni
oqappiuqattalisuungugama taimanna tukisivalliale qataqaqaangaming oqaqataqarumanneqsaulisuungummata ilisarsivallialluti imminni ilisarivallialluti.
We're all wounded healers, And as wounded healers, we have to first help ourselves and heal ourselves before we can offer and invite other people to heal themselves.
Inusittain kaningani ilinnaarlunga aanniarutigeqqattaarsimayakka ajulagutigisimaqattartakka sunava pitjuteqarnermata qauyigakki uvanni ilisarilerama aanniarutigiyanni sakkuppalliajunnarsiakka sivumua alluriaqquiyunga aksuruqtiinnaalugunniarlunga uvanni ilisarivallialertunga ajunginninni
Oqillivallianarningale uvanneqavisimalluguoqakku inuusittiningi qanivu iliniaqatigiilluni oqilliteqattarnarman oqillivallianarman taanna tukisiumavalliajaqali ilisarsivikkuungajaqu kisulimaaqarpiumman tunganarnerianga makualunni kaafiti akiqangittu kisutuinnangi akiqangittu tunganartu ilittumani akiqangittu tunganartut
Ikayutaqa tiallattaaqattartu mersutuinnaqattanginnata mamissa tamakkuaru uqqarunna nikumini qanutuinna qanuiliortautti tamakkuninga mamissartuti tabba quviasuttuarnati upattuti asigittialertun tigunoqqaqattarsimayuun ikayutilertua
tamanna siamapalliallattaarmajoq angillivalliatuinnartoq suoqamma qaviajauvallialluta.
Every person brings in something new, unique. It's not like we expect everybody to be perfect people. We don't expect people to come in with no addictions or no problems. We don't expect people to not have any trauma or loss in their lives. In fact, we expect all of those things, but we also expect a willingness to work on it and to evolve and to heal and to mature and to grow. Through that and through the process, we have some phenomenal graduates.
I hope, I give them hope. Tano isuaqattartunga, example isuaqattartunga, gunnaqaigama, ayunginninganittao qavitigassuasukka, ayungippututtao. Tiguyaumavimmiqattartuvinnerniilanginnuupattuuqattarama, ilisariuuigama, imeliuqattarnammarisiu, my hero. Taimaittuugia isumarilorsimangittiartunga, oqautituinnasiikka inuusiittau tabbarunikkaasaapi. Intaan. Addituinnakka.
Tony is a pretty incredible guy. A lot of other workplaces probably wouldn't have been able to allow him to reach that potential. But Igloolik is understanding and always supportive there for its employees and always has its back to lift them up when no one else is there. If someone has something going on in their life and they maybe can't come to work for a few days, they're not going to be at risk to lose their job. In fact, we'll send a counselor to their house to make sure they're okay.
I had hope too.
Hey.
Angilqannipileriut inuqatinnitau ikayuqumagaraarlanga ilaannikkunaloqattarama upigiyagi inuusileraqat arvi inuuqatinni quyalaptuartungattau iligno inuusi uqauseriunnalooqaviu tarriaaqsakku tamanna ilinneeriarutigililortaqatakvunga
Hey, qoyinnaami. Ikayoqtangattavassuai matuiqtartauqattaama tabbapeqattoqqauvivuttu matuiqsiiyo. Qoyinnaami.
Trust. Upperiqattauti lerluta ima nerionerlutu innarunnerluta Okaguru yau tau ne akonga kai ima takua nuna katingi okakbise tamani miutosh atuinosh au la jalitui. Yeah.
Uppere qattauti yunnarna. Isumagi yunni qattauti yunnarna. Tako ili pallianginnaujartagu, perorpallianginnaujartui. Sibullermikisiani uvattinni upperiariorsajareaqartugu. Uvattinnilu isumagi yunniarvigiariorsaarlu.
Qawi valliallugu ima anana atata inuusammini aaqigiarami qitungangittu marissa suungummimmata aaqigia palliasuungummimmata taima nunarinni attuilittarivu ima takuvallialluti piunersami una pinasuarto piunersami asijiriarneqarto.
My office is right outside the early childhood education room, and you see the magic coming to life.
Sorluge allurearviu juujaartu ilisarsili. Immini ilisarivalliagatta ajunginnittinni piunnarnittinni uvattinni ikayulerpugu. Allureartugu sorlu sivuniksattinni.
It motivates you more, it sort of makes you want to go further, it makes you want to go harder. Tema yung makattaktung ayun, yung katino.
Anang nakangnitinni kinguwanginnatta kisurimaamu uvattinni mikilliterunneerluta makititti qatigiigunnartugu. Pituinnarunneerluta ikayuqtigiigiar rauta makipaallernearatta.
Ikayokta unawan ni kayo to this place. Yang nagtukungin na sa kayo may padyayan na inusip marimusan. Ito kasi nakpo kayo.
Ilisarsili. Ilisariariursani immini ajunginnittinni piunnarnittinni. Taanna tarriaaksa takujouppat no ikkuakajortugaapik miu qanortoorsimagami pillereqatigiikkami sivumualertu. Mamisaqatigiigaartugu. Inuunivu ilisariaujareali kisiani uvattinni ilisariaursajariaqarpugu. Ilavut ilaliutilugit nunaqqatipullu. Pimmariuneqpaaq immini ilisariunnarna.
everyone.
On April 1st, 1999, under bright northern lights.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to those who have just rejoined us. And thank you, everyone who stayed on here to watch the film. We will be moving into our question and answer session now, and maybe a few remarks from the creators of this, I think, really moving film. It was the second time I've watched it, and I think it was even more impactful the second time. So we already have a few questions that have come in. We'll give one more moment. I see a few more people are rejoining from watching on YouTube. I think we have about 50 audience members, so we'll wait just a moment until everyone can rejoin. But again, I just want to thank our director and our producer of this amazing film, and how gracious they are of being here today, and being able to share their thoughts of creating it, but also answer some questions. Okay, I think we have everyone back on now. So Romani, Shari, I think if it's okay, we can start moving to question and answer. Do you want to say anything before we start going into those who have asked questions?
No, I think we can go straight to the questions.
Great. So our first question comes from Fraser, and they would like to know, in academic research, there is often an attempt to be objective. This is in fact difficult, if not impossible. Your own personal experience informs your research in a very important way, as the film shows. Has this affected your approach to research? What are the strengths and weaknesses of your experience to your ongoing research? What new directions do you see for future research? How can we ensure that the lessons of your research can be more widely applied to the real problems facing Inuit society today? And before I hand it over to our speakers, a reminder, if you have questions, please put them in the chat box so that we can call you on to ask your question or comment, or I can read it out loud to you.
All right. Those questions already have my heart fluttering. So if I'll try my best to stay on track answering them. Definitely can't be objective. Like, can't have just the academic objective to your project. It definitely is personal research. Like questions, personal questions. Like every day we ask ourselves, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get through the day? Like, how are we gonna get through work? So I think research is very much like that. And then in terms of like the personal and experience, I think it was a challenge to insert myself. Academically, I was always taught to talk about Inuit. And that was really hard for me in my undergrad, where I had to remove myself from my own people and talk about them as if I was separate from them. So it was a challenge already for me to insert myself. And I really appreciated Shari's feedback throughout the whole process, because she was able to tell me when I was being too academic and didn't sound like Ro, and when to bring Ro back into the picture. I really appreciated that, the challenges that came with that, but like, just, yeah, it was great. And then personally, I think Inuktitut as Inuit, we're more relational. We're able to understand things if we can relate to the topic of discussion. So I had to relate with the people in the OLJ program. You know, when I walked out from the workshop while taking notes, it was emotional because it was a painful topic for me, the topic was religion. It was brought in. It's heavily like people are dependent on religion for their own reasons. You know, I have my own pain of religion for my own reasons, and I had to deal with that in order to continue doing my research. I couldn't just push it aside. I had to talk about my experience. My laptop's about to run out of battery, so I'm gonna give it to Shari while I get my laptop cord and plug it in. But yeah, I think my research now is more strength-based. I'd rather focus on what we have and what we can work with, what we're working with, rather than what we don't have. There's so many gaps analysis out there. I didn't want to do another gaps analysis. I wanted strength-based focus. What are we doing? I gotta go before my laptop dies on, you guys. Be right back.
Thanks, Ro. I'll fill in while Ro gets her laptop cord, because these questions are very much for Romani, and she has such great knowledge to share. So I don't want to take up too much time, but just to add while she's out, yeah, it's very interesting for me as a researcher, and having worked in the community for over 20 years now and lived there full time for 15 years. I learned some of the same lessons, and just being told since the beginning, you know, not to act like such a researcher. In Inuit culture, there's much more of a recognition that you're a human being, you have these experiences, that gives you knowledge, that gives you skills. So this academic training that we've all received about removing yourself, being objective, it doesn't make sense in the human experience. And in order to truly understand the things that we want to study. And I believe that's not just for social scientists. I think relating to the land, relating to the environment, and understanding that humans are part of the physical environment. You know, I think there's a lot of questions that physical scientists can ask themselves about who they are as a person, how does that influence their research, and the results they get, and how they communicate those results. So I think there's interesting questions there. I think also what's interesting is how the community has guided research, in that we've over the years had many requests from outside researchers to study Igloolik. Like Romani said, it's, you know, researchers talk about Inuit, and very wisely, Igloolik's board of directors has said, you know, has been very cautious and not approved people to study Igloolik except for Romani, because Romani was the first researcher to come that they knew would understand them, that speaks the language, that had the experience to really do a true study, and put results out there that would be true and meaningful and useful for the communities that were involved. So it was great to have Romani come and do this work. She did a really impressive thesis, and then this video as one product to, I think, both showcase not only what she found in studying the program, how it works, how it's benefiting the community, but her process, her experience as a researcher, how she approached the research. And I think it can be really useful and informative for other researchers who are coming. I'm just checking the chat for Victoria. I don't know if you want to move to another question.
Yeah.
Or if other people want to chime in. Oh, she's back. So maybe we can just go to the next question.
Yeah, so we do have another question from Emil, who wants to first thank you for sharing, and then a question specifically for Romani. How and in what ways did you feel supported by Shari and as a research partner and your other research partners? In other words, what made producing this work and film easier or harder for you, for your relations and your community?
I think the support from Shari was amazing. She very much let me do what I needed to do, like in terms of asking me, coming up with the academic questions, but then reflecting on those questions and what those questions really mean. Just having that soundboard of having somebody being able to question my questions was great. But then it wasn't just Shari, it was the staff, it was the board, it was the community. They were all very supportive and encouraging in my work and willing to learn from me about my objectives, like what I was trying to learn, and just letting me learn. But also sharing with me what they know in hopes that I can navigate more about what I was doing. So it wasn't just Shari, it was just having that support. But then it was, our life's journey is about, it's Inuit counselor training program. So you're talking about topics of trauma. You're talking about topics of our collective trauma. And then you're taking it all apart and how the community hurts, and then how the family hurts, and then how you hurt. So you're all supporting each other constantly throughout the process. So I really appreciated that I was able to have the time and space to figure my stuff out. And then my own trauma has led me to be ultra independent, or try to be ultra independent, where I want to do things on my own. But having Shari and Rob and Alex was like learning about the support I have. People I can lean on. People who are striving for a way forward. It was a way to find the people who are fighting a good fight. They're working for a common cause. And finding them was like, whoa, like it was almost like coming home. It was coming home, like from Ontario to Nunavut, from being around non-Inuit to being around Inuit. And even like in the video, I share about how I went to Thunder Bay for treatment, and then I ended up going to university there. I started on my own life's journey back then, but to do my research in Clyde River at Ittaq Civic was to deal with life in the Inuit way, in Inuktitut, like Mika said in the video, sharing in Inuktitut, being understood in Inuktitut, validated what I've been working towards. And it was like, all right, I found a group of people fighting a good fight. I'm gonna join them. So it's not just me getting the support, it's everybody supporting each other. That's what I loved about this project.
And Shari, I do wonder if you want to maybe also comment on this question, as I think we do have quite a number of people who could be advisors on this call, and just thinking about sharing your experience from those who might be advising graduate students and maybe pushing towards a strength-based approach to research, and how people could take this experience and maybe think about how it relates to their roles as advisors.
Yeah, I could offer just a little bit. I mean, I think I just really echo what Romani said, and that it's, having a support network is great, like more than just one person, but different people that you can lean on for different things. So maybe a role of an advisor can try to help support building that network. And I think in order to do that, when you're in an advisor position, I think it's more about listening than just about feeling like you have to impart your knowledge on someone, but rather trying to figure out who that person is, how they work, what they need, and then just, you know, asking questions, pushing them a little bit into, you know, reflecting on those questions, and trying to discover their own strengths. So I guess just trying to approach it that way, because sometimes like my experience with advisors or supervisors is there's, you know, often just sort of an automatic setup of like power dynamics, and this person is the expert and you're their student, and it's often like a top down, just like information dump of how to do things, or you're, you know, part of a certain way of doing things because of this person's research history and projects. And sometimes you lose yourself because you're just wrapped in as another like student in this history of how research has always been done, where I think, you know, our job could be more of how do we find those strengths within each student, and help them grow in their own direction. So I don't know, there's just a few thoughts there. I think I have, you know, a lot to reflect on still and to say, but those are just a few things following up on Romani. And just one more thing, like I've learned so much from working with Romani, like her knowledge and skills constantly blew me away, and you know, really made me ask questions to myself, and improve my own work. So if there's ways, you know, that we can be open to that and set up that relationship, I think it's much more valuable than just pretending like, you know, you're in a situation where you're just supervising like top down. So that's a few thoughts from me.
Yeah, thank you. So I think maybe I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, but maybe I can read a comment and kind of get both of your, you know, thoughts or maybe concluding thoughts based on the comment. And again, if anyone has further questions or wants to come on and make a comment, please put that in the chat, or you can raise your hand on the participant icon. But one of the comments made from Heather, who is a past presenter in this series, who says, "Thank you so much for doing work around the center. It is an amazing model to look at for other Arctic Indigenous communities. I always hope we can learn from one another in sharing our stories." And I thought maybe you could comment on that last part on sharing our stories, and maybe the decision to make a film, right, as something to share, and the ways that we share stories, which I think, you know, there aren't many, you know, many powerful films on strength-based research that are in this, you know, this same vein of not just sharing, but making connections. So yeah, I don't know if either of you want to comment about sharing stories and the decision that you made to do that through a film.
Sharing stories. One of the things, so I used to be a research advisor for a couple of major research agencies doing work in the north, like the Northern Contaminants Program and Arctic-net. Many researchers come through and ask for advice on how to work with Inuit. And much of my work was around feedback on capacity building, training, and communication of research before, during, and after research. And I've seen a lot of good presentations, slides at research conferences where there aren't regular people. It's all researchers talking to each other. So I really just wanted to do something where the information is shared back to the people. And I think it was also a way for them to share their voice. I didn't want to tell their story as if I was just finding it out and making it new knowledge. I really wanted to try and demonstrate that Inuit have a voice. Inuit have their own way of doing. And let's stop prescribing them into programs. Let's have a voice in what kind of programming we want and how we want to run them. So I think this for me was very much about giving us, and when I say them, it's Igloolik, the organization, but giving us Inuit a voice. So I hope that comes through, and I hope that other researchers can find a way to ensure the voice of the knowledge holders is not taken away and obtained for others to use as their knowledge. Let's stop doing that. So I think for me, my research is very much, my focus is on strength-based, what we have, what are we doing with what we have, and how are we finding a way forward? How do we want a way forward? It's going back to the people and asking them what they want. So it's even in my professional work, I'm kind of going, wait, do I really want to be answering federal government questions? Yeah, they're important questions to ask, but those are their questions. I want to ask what our elders are asking about, what our communities are asking about, what they want. So I hope that in my work, I learn to do that stronger, so that as Inuit, we can be proud of what we have and what we have to work with. So it's storytelling through video. There's still some navigation needed in that area, because we went into partnership, we found government funding, and we were able to, pay Shari's team to make the video. We paid interpreter translators to verify some of the Inuktitut. So it's really building in partnership where you can, and then being of good service to people. So I'll finish with that, and maybe Shari wants to add something to that.
Yeah, just really quickly, like everything that Romani said, 1000%. And on the research side, I would just add that I think in research, we also need to start to value these kind of contributions and output, where, as academics and researchers, Romani and I and many others, it's all about publications. That's how your work is valued. That's what you are evaluated on as a researcher. I think that this kind of work that Romani has done with her video, this kind of way of presenting results, of trying to make an impact of your work, it needs to be valued by the academic community and recognized. I know I've been told that when I've done some projects like this, oh, that's nice outreach. It's not outreach. This needs to be considered valid research and research results, just done in a different way, in a much more impactful way as far as I'm concerned. And I think that researchers need to be credited when they do stuff like this. I don't think we're there yet, but I think these are discussions that we need to start having in academia, and how can we value these things in a different way. Same thing, spending time with communities. People like Romani who invest so much time in building relationships, that takes time, and it takes time away from being able to pump out the publications, but it's just as valuable and it should be recognized. So I think we need to do a big rethink on how in academia do we value our work? What are the products that we should be putting out there, and how they're recognized by our peers, by communities, and how, our work is judged. It can't just be about how many journal articles we do anymore. That doesn't mean a lot, especially in this kind of work, where we want our work to mean something to people and to produce action on the ground.
Yeah, I see a lot of head nodding from both of your responses to that. So thank you so much. We do have one more question that came in from Martha, who I'm going to ask if you would like to come on and ask your question.
Hi, Shari and Romani. I hope that, yeah, we can get together and chat some more soon, but I was just so excited that I got the opportunity to join today and watch your film. It's fantastic. I've been working on some film projects too lately, but we can discuss another time. Right now, I guess I'm curious, Romani, what are your plans going forward? Has obviously it's been a big personal and academic journey as well, and I'm just curious how you're going to take your lessons forward, where you're looking at working, what you're doing now, how you're kind of bringing this forward, because it's just so wonderful, and it's so important for Inuit and for researchers, and it adds so much to the discussion, and it coalesces so many things that I think different people have thought about.
Oh, what next? So I just agreed to do a PhD in philosophy of education at Ottawa U this fall. Hey. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm hoping to build off this work. You know, we touched the surface of one of the programs at Ittaq Counselor Training Program. It provides, you know, trauma training, training in responding to situations. So one of the things I'm really excited about is like capacity building and what that looks like in community organizations like Ittaq. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting just because like us academics have the privilege of going to school and learning about research processes and whatnot. And then we expect researchers to provide capacity building and training. And then we expect more training from government. And, you know, we talk about lack of education and we talk about skills and abilities. So what does that look like from an Inuit perspective? Especially in organizations like Ittaq. They're very qualified, we're very knowledgeable people working in the center who have loads of their own experience to share. So, you know, what does capacity building look like from Ittaq perspective, or from other organizations like Igloolik Kablu Friendship Center in Rankin Inlet? So what are these community organizations doing in terms of capacity building, not just in the formal sense, but what is it that we really need to support each other? And I think Ittaq has some great examples, and I think there's community organizations that are trying to figure this out. So how do we navigate that so that Inuit are recognizing their skills and abilities in a way that strengthen us, rather than being focused so much on, I need my grade 12, I need to get a degree, I need to go to Nunavut Sivuniksavut. You know, how do we, let's recognize each other's skills and abilities, whether it's emotional work, whether it's professional work, whether it's community work. And really, I want to talk about that and navigate that world with my people. So we'll do that. Figure out the research world. That's all.
Thank you. And I saw a lot of these when you mentioned that you have accepted a PhD position. So congratulations. And I am sure I'm not the only one on this webinar that can't wait to see what you do next with that, and to expand and bring forth this strength-based approach to research that's so needed. So that is just so exciting. So we're just about at time. And I wonder if you both want to make any closing remarks as we finish out our time together today about the film, anything you want to reflect on, anything you want our audience members to think about as they move into their weekend. Either one of you can maybe start in some final words today.
I'll let Romani go last because we all want to leave with her wisdom, I know. But just really briefly, I just want to thank Victoria for organizing this and this whole series. I've joined a few of these webinars now about women and Arctic science, and it's been great. So thanks for inviting us. The video is available on YouTube. You guys have the link. Please feel free to share it. I think it can benefit a lot of people, and we've been seeing it being used in classes and other groups and organizations. So that's been great to see. And then I just want to thank Romani for being who she is and being in this world. And I'm so excited that she's going forward in her research. And yeah, I'm just feel so grateful to be by your side along this row, and congratulations. And thanks everybody for taking time to join us today and learn about what Ro's been doing.
Thank you, Shari. Oh, I think one of the things I don't know what to leave you guys with, except to, if you're going to work with Inuit or Indigenous people or any other Indigenous group in Canada, I think it's like, rather than approaching with a prescriptive idea, you know, turn that around and ask how you can use your skills and abilities to maybe answer some of their pressing issues or questions. And maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just at a point where I'm finally like really thinking about asking Inuit what they want. I've been I've been doing a lot of reflection on my work, and it's like I've really enjoyed the work I've done with ArcticNet and CP, IT, Inuit-led, Nunavut Sivuniksavut. Those are great advocacy groups, and you know, working for Indigenous people. They have their own questions, their own gaps analysis to do. But I'm very much about going directly to the people at this time. Like, I'm done answering questions by non-Inuit to satisfy their wonder, their curiosity. Why not think about our wonder, our curiosity, and navigate that? So I don't know if that's much helpful, but I'll just leave with that. Ask people what they want to do, how you can help them, how you can be of service to them. I think that's it for now. And
that is so much to sit with and think about, that extends far beyond just our webinar today, and hopefully will be something that everyone here can think back on as they continue their own work, whether you're in academia, you're a researcher, you're a student, thinking about what, you know, advice and questions Romani and also Shari left us with. So I just want to give a huge virtual round of applause to both of our amazing speakers today. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time and experience and your expertise. I am so thankful that I got to spend the past hour and a half with both of you and with everyone on this call. And I hope that I will see everyone on this call at future Breaking the Ice Ceiling webinars. The next one that we are hosting is on June 14th, and that will have 3 amazing speakers about creating space for diversity and inclusion in the federal sphere in the US and US territories. So I hope that you'll join us from that, but we have many across the summer, from everything about education and curriculum development to conservation management, to visual narratives and art. So I hope to see you at one of those. I will be sending out an email to everyone after this with a link to the video, a link to this recording, and a link to the Facebook group that Shari had posted in the chat. So I think that is all from us today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday, a great weekend, and thank you again for joining us today.